and good evening. I am pleased to be here. As she said, I'm Shannon Kessler, candidate for State Assembly District 30, and she kind of mentioned where that covers. I live in Arroyo Grande, which is pretty much the southern part of that district, and that district covers most of San Luis Obispo County all the way to Cuyama, and then up to Paso and Shandon, and then it cuts over along the coast to cover beautiful Big Sur, all the way up to Capitol and Aptos. So yeah, it takes me about 3 hours and 10 minutes to drive to the northern part of the district. So this is no small task, but I'm honored to do it. And what I tell people is, what a beautiful district. I mean, we're just so blessed to live here. That's part of my motivation, is to help protect this, and we have that in common. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak here tonight. I am not, let's see, here's just my picture, and I have a picture of a horse here because I love to ride horses. I love the outdoors that way. We've got the beautiful coastline, and I know that we also have farming in our area. All of these are things we need to protect. So the next slide, please, when you're ready. But like Nicole said, we have encountered one another at many meetings, speaking out, city, county, school boards. We have that in common. Here's my beautiful family. My husband, Jim, we've been married 37 years. And my daughter, Evangeline, that's her wedding picture. This was just last March. Her husband and my son on the end, the tall redhead, and his wife, Allie, they are expecting our first grandchild. So I hear that's like the best club to be in. Looking forward to it. And we are all surfers. I'll be specific, I'm a bodyboarder. I have a little trouble with my arm, and so it's a little hard for me to hold something as big as a surfboard. So I bodyboard, the rest of them surf, and family tradition is surfing on Christmas Day. So my daughter said, oh, let's bring the Santa hats and do our Christmas card this way. So, and then here we are in this one, hiking in an area that's one of our favorites that I'm delighted to learn is also in the district. That's at Fort Hunter Liggett. You might be familiar with like Wagon Cave and Indian Stations. That's one of our favorite places to hike. We go every year in February, and I'll give you a little tip. If you go right around Valentine's Day, it's California fire newt mating season. And we've seen hundreds of fire newts in California, fire newts. And the fire newts, we call it Salamander Saturday, a little bit of a misnomer, because they're technically California fire newts, little amphibious creatures, and they, you can see hundreds of them in the creek up there, right around Valentine's Day. So we just have a lot of fun with that. Next slide, please. So I do have some experience in public service. Nicole mentioned we're both speakers, and one thing I love about our constitutional republic is that you and I, average Joe, average Jane, have the right to go and speak to our elected representatives. So I've practiced that locally. I'm active and still have been, even since I was in high school, speaking to local and state government. But I have also served as a PTA president. I was elected to that position at a local elementary school in Arroyo Grande. I was an Arroyo Grande Parks and Recreation Commissioner, and I currently serve on the Pismo Coast Association of Realtors. I found a couple of other realtors here. Apparently we tend to be a rather outspoken people, and we care about our environment. So I'm interested and not surprised to find other realtors here. And I'm currently a member of the Local Government Commission and the Public Relations and MLS Committee at our local real estate, and that's Pismo Coast in the Arroyo Grande is where the office is. And I did found 2 grassroots organizations, but before I move on, I'll point out I do have a certificate from Pepperdine in the School of Public Engagement and Civic Leadership that I was already doing, but I figured let me get a little bit of formal training, so I took a specific course for that, and I did learn a lot. Appreciated that. So I did found 2 grassroots organizations. If you want to move on to the next slide. One of my groups teaches the Constitution, and that also inspired me to run for office, and there's great materials out there. We just facilitate, similar to this, and teach Constitution classes. I feel that they're not doing a good enough job of that in our schools, and it's part of why they're getting away with violating the Constitution. So I am myself graduated from a couple of my own training courses. They're not my materials, but me facilitating. And I'm like, hey, I need to stand up for this because they're doing it wrong and we have a voice. So we, and a couple of my friends are here that have gone through classes with me. And we teach people to speak up at school board meetings. We teach them to self-educate with the materials you see, like you have here. I'm learning a lot from this organization. And that, again, just to preface what I'm saying, I'm not as much of an expert in the offshore wind as you guys are, but when I first heard about it, I just instinctively knew that it was wrong. And I felt like I have to do something, I have to learn something, and so I learned about REACT, and I was thinking, hey, I can make this a platform for my campaign, and I was opposed to it before that, to be clear, but I feel like a lot of damage is being done in Sacramento. So that's why, even though I speak up locally, my kids are grown, my husband is saying get out of his hair, So, I honestly, I want him to finish my house. He's a contractor. You're probably not surprised my house isn't finished. And I'm like, maybe if I'm gone in Sacramento, he'll have more time to finish the house. So there's another motivation. And he'll probably say, please elect my wife so I get a break. So anyway, go ahead and move on. So I did found an organization called Save Girls Sports. I feel passionately that girls' rights need to be protected in their private spaces. Thank you. To be clear, I'm not asking for anyone to be excluded from school. There's kind of people going around saying that about our organization. There's Save Girls Sports Central Coast. I founded it. It's me, and some of my members are here, and there's just a few hundred of us that are speaking up for girls. And that's another example, like you guys are seeing, of Sacramento telling us what they want to tell us and not listening to parents and grandparents and the girls themselves. So I say this, I bring this up because I know it's something we have in common no matter what our other political views are. This is really an 80-20 issue, and it's an example of the elites not listening to us and pushing their agenda for whatever reason. And I'm a fighter. I've literally gotten death threats, and we've installed a security system at my house, and all that does is make me go, I'm obviously hitting a nerve, and I'm gonna fight against that, and I'm gonna fight against the offshore wind. And so my campaign platform is home ownership for every generation. That's close to my heart as a realtor. Also rentals, like you're saying, there's, I was just talking with Sal earlier, the expenses keep going up, cost of living keeps going up. It's because of government intrusion and over-regulation. There's so much, it would take forever to go into all the details, but we've mostly experienced it. So it ends up affecting rentals. It ends up affecting home ownership purchasing. The ones that harms are mostly young people starting their lives. And it also, even some of the regulations keep us in place when we don't necessarily need to live in our big house, do we, when we're 50 something, but does it make sense for us to move when we look at, all the changes that have happened? So I also want to reduce regulations to support businesses. My family has a construction company called Kessler Construction. My husband has operated that for 34 years. And we are fortunate to have our son work with us. He's a welder, educated at Cuesta, very glad for the trades. And I'm just glad to have a voice for business. And I have a goal of making California more business friendly again. And I think that's to all of our advantages. And I also will champion school choice and parental rights. I'm already doing that, but I feel that parents and not bureaucrats should make decisions for their children's education. And of course, protecting our coastline, last but not least. That has come into prevalence, especially with this. Please move on. So yes, I kind of already went to that. We own Kessler Construction. I own Shannon Kessler Real Estate. I was a manager for Century 21 here for 8 years. And I would like to see regulations reduced and home ownership encouraged. So yes, we need to attract jobs. That is one of the little hooks that they have for the offshore wind. But in reality, I've learned most of the jobs are in Europe or in Asia, and they're building parts and partnering with, I just learned about partnering with the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. Wow. Yeah, please move on. That was a little bit of a wake up. So here I also support, so I do specifically support the choice of parents to decide whether or not they're gonna homeschool or charter school. I would like to see vouchers because this is our money, this is our tax dollars money. tax credits, anything like that. And I also support public schools. My kids went all the way through Lucia Mar Unified School District. They had a very good experience. I was very pleased. But you know, we all know that most parents don't have the time to speak up and advocate for what's being taught, and there's just a few of us that make that a priority. So I think that parents need to be the ones in control of when and where their kids are educated. So I will also stand up for parental rights. Please go ahead and move the next slide. And this is just a photo of the Moss Landing. I bring that into attention because that would be in the district as well. And I know you're focused on offshore wind, but we have the common goal to prevent disasters like this from happening. So I'm learning a bit more about this too, because Moss Landing is also in my district, and there's the plan by Vistra to put something like this, a BESS, a battery energy storage system, in Morro Bay, in an area that's not zoned for it. It's supposed to be for people and for environment. So yeah, interesting how they're just skirting all of the decisions already made.
And the offshore wind needs the battery storage, so they're tied together.
Yes, they are. I am learning that, and I do understand. So then I understand that we have to come up with some solutions for energy, but these are dangerous and wrong and harmful. So I will fight this too. Please move on. So I'm using these slides with permission from California Arts and Sciences Institute. I'm trying to get them to come here and do this full presentation on this. And so one thing that we're seeing the snow job that's going on with environmental justice and such, and that is because they're taking advantage of people's natural love for our beautiful earth and frightening them. So I found this slide super interesting. California produces 0.7% of the greenhouse gas in the world. So why are we being pushed to do this when we know that other areas, particularly other, Chinese communism and other nations, are producing most of the greenhouse gases? So that's something that they're just using that fear factor to try to get people to agree to anything green. Please go ahead and move next slide. And so in this slide says California's 5 global power forms are solar, offshore wind, onshore wind, nuclear, and natural gas. And go ahead and move on. So the problem with the wind particularly and the solar, one of the problems is how much space it takes up. And so the solar, I learned, it would take 2,755 square miles to produce enough solar to power California. And it would take 6,552 to power California. And then this diagram kind of here shows you, here's an idea of what the size is. Onshore wind would take 6,929 square miles to power the entire state. And then on the other end of that, you have nuclear and natural gas. 22 square miles for energy, nuclear energy to power the entire state, and 2 square miles for natural gas too. So this is talking about the facilities on which they would need to create them. So we do need sources of energy for sure. So I believe that we need to look into other and even some of the traditional sources of energy to answer that solution, and particularly with AI coming up. Please move on to the next slide. So one of the things that you can do to help me is follow me on social media, and these are QR codes to my Instagram, Facebook, and X, and in my table in the back. That's it. These are also at the table in the back. And I'm available to answer questions now or a little more afterwards. Again, like I said, I'm learning as I go. Part of my goal is to learn from the people in the different areas of my proposed and hopeful district. So please give me suggestions, recommendations, and again, social media, there's also a page on there if you want to use the QR code. My Instagram is Kessler4CA, and on Facebook it's Kessler4CA, and my website is Kessler4CA, Kessler4California.com. If you want to find out more, drill down, send me a message, endorse me, there's a form on there to do so, and then I have a sign-up sheet in the back. Jennifer, my campaign manager, is here filming. And Bridget, my friend and colleague, is here helping me as well. So next slide is the last one. And yep, there's my website up at the top if you want to use that QR code, and my fundraising site. I do appreciate contributions because it's taking, fuel and actually charging my Tesla, to be perfectly honest. I've got solar panels on my house, so that's helping a bit. But there's a good example. The solar panels on the house that my husband himself installed, I try to do all my laundry when the sun's shining. If the kids come home, I'm like, get your laundry in before the sun goes down. So because I feel like I'm kind of doing it for free. So it's always fun to charge my car that way too. But I could use financial support for my campaign and would appreciate that. So do I have time to take questions?
Yes.
Or feel free. Now, Natalia, right?
Yes, good memory. Do you know how Proposition 50 will affect District 30?
Yes, good question. It doesn't affect the state assembly districts. It affects federal congressional members.
Okay.
So it's not gonna change my district, which I already feel is rather suspiciously gerrymandered, Thank you. I'm just like, I tell people it's shaped kind of like a pregnant snake, and as much as I love Santa Cruz, it's kind of far away. I don't know why we're grouped with all the way up to Santa Cruz and yet not Salinas, Monterey, not Salinas, not King City. But yes, Big Sur,
Not
a little
Atascadero, which is
little interesting, yeah. So, but either way, I'm going forward as it is, and Prop 50 doesn't affect state districts, but it does affect federal. Any other questions? Sir.
Who do you perceive you'll be running against?
As I haven't heard an official announcement, but Dawn Addis, the incumbent, she's running. So she, as far as I know, she's running. So I have not encountered anybody else running.
This is Laird's seat, right?
This is not Laird's, just so Laird's the state senator,
Okay.
and for this area, yes. Addis is the state assembly member.
Okay.
So 2 houses in the state, and so she's for state assembly. So at this point, she's my opposition, and I tell pretty much people she's my opposite. We're but okay, I guess we have the fact in common that we're moms and we have, we're married and we live and love the Central Coast. But let's see, I want to get it right here. I printed it out. So a quote from her is, it's critical that we maintain California's strong commitment to ocean and coastal protections while we build offshore wind energy.
She's the head of the offshore wind committee.
One of her first bills was AB 80, the Coastal Resources and Ocean Research West Coast Offshore Wind Science Entity. And so that is her, it was one of the first bills that she introduced. So we already know the direction she's gonna go. She's gonna say certain things. She's gonna test the winds and say what she needs to say. Meanwhile, she's already sold out to them, is my opinion. I say she's a part of the supermajority of elites in California state legislature that are doing what they want to do with our state and not responding to their constituents. I have tried to get appointments with her, and I've not been able to do so. You guys, can you relate?
We can relate.
We know her very well. She was a city councilwoman here
Yeah.
in Morro Bay, so we are very familiar
So
with
yeah,
Dawn Addis.
you've experienced her, yeah. So I have known her name because I am that nerd that follows politics. But when I founded one of my organizations, I figured, hey, there's 200 of us. We've got some girls. Let's see if she'll meet with us. Yeah, no, not even. And her staff really kind of got really snarky with me after a while. And I was like, look, I'm just really trying to make an appointment with you for, 5 of your constituents and who represent 200. No.
And fascinating, because she's one of the founders of the Women's March, that she's not interested in meeting with girls.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that, because that's exactly what I said. Perfect example. No.
This is about accessibility to our legislators. I read that the state capitol is undergoing a huge renovation, a very expensive renovation.
Yeah.
And it's going to have tunneling so that the legislators will be able to completely evade the press and just get to their cards
Oh,
and
boy.
zoom away.
I've seen that, so I've been up there and seen the construction, but I have not heard that. It doesn't really surprise me. It's so unfortunate. It's the opposite of what our constitutional republic was meant to do. You're supposed to represent your constituents. That's your job. And that's what I plan to do. And Nicole and I have chatted about this a bit here. I think that one thing we can all agree on is if we're gonna change the policy in Sacramento, we have got to change the people in Sacramento. We've just been doing the same thing too long. So if you have any other questions, let me just check my notes and make sure, yeah, we've gotta change the people. And, oh, I had a little funny anecdote about my nephew, I just remembered. He's a handy guy, very mechanically inclined, and he went through all the training. I remember my mom texting me and his mom, hey, he's learning to, my nephew is learning to work on the wind turbines, because he's super mechanically inclined, and he loves the trades. And his dad was in the Army, so it's not like he had a construction business to move into like my son. So he went through the training, had to climb. The land, the turbines on land. So we're not talking way out in the ocean, moving or anything. And he did that once, and he decided to join the Army. That's where he is now.
That's great. Thank you so much, John.
I'll just bring up in that regard a tragic instance that occurred in Netherlands in 2013, where two workers were working on a malfunctioning wind turbine. And so both of them were up there, and all of a sudden, the wind turbine generator catches on fire.
Oh my gosh.
And so one of them chose to jump to his death. The other was incinerated at the top of the wind turbine. And this is basically, it's been hushed, and it's just so frustrating me. Hundreds of people have died in the wind turbine industry. And that obviously is a really tragic example, because the wind turbine was so tall that none of the fire trucks had ladders that could get up to the top of the wind turbine.
Oh.
I mean, this is just so
You're right, that's
careless.
being hushed up. I didn't know about it. I never
Yeah.
really thought about it.
Oh, yeah, no, this.
Yeah.
You do Google searches on that stuff, you can't find it.
Well, that's why they
Oh,
need to
yeah.
have helicopters, but that's part of the.
No, they couldn't.
Industrialization.
They can't
Yeah,
land.
isn't that insane?
Yeah.
But I'll be around for a bit if you guys wanna talk individually. Also, I have a sign-up sheet back there, and if anybody wants to volunteer for my campaign, some of the things we can do is address and stamp envelopes for me, and we're just kind of starting to work out doing some mailers and such, because I feel I have decent name recognition here in the southern part from being a realtor, but up in Monterey, we need to cover that a bit more, and that it's always challenging to challenge an incumbent. But I also believe that the change is on the way in California, because people are tired of not being listened to.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
One more question and then.
Which is, when's the election? Is it
It's
next
November, so I will,
It's
so
next
good
November.
question, thank you. I will be on the ballot for June, that's the primary, June 2026, and then November 2026. This is is a state level office, and so there's the primary, and then there will be November.
Are there other Republicans
Another question?
trying for the primary?
No, there aren't any other. At this point, to my knowledge, it's just me and Dawn Addis. So I have not heard of any others, and in fact, so full disclosure, I am the Republican endorsed candidate for this position. I know that some of us might have different party preferences. I believe that in this battle, we need to look to what we have in common, which is our common love for California, and our desire for our constituents to actually listen to us and come back and stay connected with their area, which is my goal.
maybe you can correct me, but I know that the Republican Party, you have to be a registered Republican to have you on our ballot, is that correct, or is it because?
In the primary.
In the pri-
Yeah.
In the primary?
Yeah, in the
not
primary.
So,
Yeah.
if anybody wants to vote for you in June,
Yeah,
they're gonna have to pre-register as a Republican to vote against Dawn Addis, is that correct?
Yes,
in the primary,
Okay,
yeah.
in the primary.
So just historically, I've kind of vetted it, this is the highest level office I've run for. So in this, the Republican has made it past the primary, so, I'm hoping that that will continue to be the case. And honestly, just to think of hopes, there is hope for this happening this time. The statistics, the numbers, there's a lot of no party preference. In fact, people on my campaign team are libertarians, independents, no party preference, because we're all just kind of looking for change and to actually be heard. So that we do have a chance for change, because if people get out and actually vote, and may not be able to vote if you don't change your party, but you could change it and change it back if you felt like there were other things you didn't agree with. But yes, only the Republicans would be able to vote for me in the primary, but in the general, anybody could. And so we did just run the numbers last week. If I got all the Republicans to vote for me who have voted in the last election, and then just 3% of the no party preference, then I could defeat Dawn Addis.
Okay, good to know.
All right, well, we're gonna end on that note. Thank you so much, Shannon. Thank you for being here. And I just need to do a little bit of a disclaimer. React Alliance is a 501c3 organization. We cannot officially endorse any candidates. So I'm just wanting to be clear with you that we are not endorsing any candidates. But we can have speakers here to just educate you, to inform you on what they're doing. So that was our purpose tonight. So if you want to follow up with Shannon, I hope that you do. Please speak with her either here or email her or get on her website. We really appreciate it. Did you want to say something?
And of course, you will be asking Dawn to come here.
Yes, we will, and hopefully she will come. Yes, thank you for that. And I just want to say before we all leave, our pitch here that we love being able to meet at the Benedict. It's a wonderful location. If you could help just donate a little bit to pay for our rent, that would be great. If you can't, we appreciate you being here. I saw many people have already donated, so thank you for your generosity. And one more thing, November 18th, there's going to be a meeting at Port San Luis where we believe it's going to be on the agenda to accept that grant money. So we would love you to put that on your calendar to be there on the Tuesday, the 18th at Port San Luis. And we'll send out information about it. If you're not on our mailing list yet, please, there's a sign-up sheet in the back, and you'll get all the information and reminders and so on. So thank you so much for being there. Oh.